so much for that. Maybe Brandon Marcello knows. He knows all about college football from 24/7 Sports, my good friend. We have to cancel this interview real quick. Just received a cease and desist letter from 24/7 Sports, Brandon. We got to get you out. They said,
man.
Don't take
Big
my
12,
man.
Big 12's going down swinging, man.
Are they really? Is this really swinging, or is this just sort of a, last gasp? You can't. A conference can't tell a media entity what to do, can they?
Well, if they are your broadcast partner, and like the Big 12 seems to believe, they've been steering their Big 12 members to go into the SEC or other conferences. Certainly that's probably something worth going to court over. But as I've been saying all along with all this stuff the last few days, prove it. You might know it, but prove it. And they're not going to be able to prove anything, the Big 12.
No, those tracks have been well covered. The SEC knows how to do that, and so does ESPN. When we look, we were all at media days this time a week ago when this story started to break. Basically, around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right before this show came on the air. And here we are now. It feels like it's a done deal. Everything, like all that's left is for the ink to dry on some contracts, evidently. Has this come together faster than you thought possible?
Well, nothing seems impossible anymore after what happened last Wednesday, a week ago. I mean, it was just crazy. We kind of had – some of us had some idea that, Texas OU and maybe others were upset with the potential TV contracts that could be worked out beyond 2025. Didn't realize they were so upset they were just going to leave the conference. So that was a surprise. But, yeah, I mean, it's not too surprising this is coming together so quickly because – I guess really it's not coming together quickly. This has been going on behind the scenes through intermediaries for months. And, they've had time to kind of plan out what this week's going to look like. And, sure enough, I mean, it's been like day by day this week they've had things figured out. Monday they do something. Tuesday they do something. Wednesday we breathe. Thursday the presidents and chancellors vote on it. And then Friday morning, Texas and OU's Board of Regents will vote and, accept the invitation from the SEC. So not too surprising. But I think the only thing that would be surprising amongst all this is if somehow Texas and OU just come out and say, we're joining the conference in 2022. We'll work out the rest of the Big 12. We'll figure it out. I'd be surprised if that happens.
Question, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if that happens.
Yeah.
I think that there'll be some legal wrangling, and then you're seeing the Big 12 getting kind of desperate here with that letter they sent to ESPN today, apparently, according to Yahoo Sports, and I think that it's possible you see the Big 12 trying to take Texas and OU, maybe even the SEC to court. I wouldn't rule any of that out, and I think that'll delay any announcement of any sort that, hey, Texas and OU are joining the conference in this year, beyond what's already been set as the boilerplate, which is, 2025.
What's the grounds for the lawsuit there?
To ESPN or the SEC or what? I guess
the SEC would be more interesting to me because I can see I can see where the Big 12, hey, you're our media partner as well, and you're working against us. I can see where that is. What does the SEC owe the Big 12?
Nothing really. I mean, other than, in the bylaws, within the conferences, they'd have to be something looked at. And then, of course, having interference within the conference and kind of scheming when the Big 12 is not aware of things, that could be an issue. But I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I will say this. I really wish I could get inside Greg Sankey's head right now because he is a lawyer. He's got a lawyer's mind, and I would love – because he's been certainly dealing with this for a while now, and he's prepared for this. And it's clear that they would not be moving forward with this right now if they didn't feel like they had all their bases covered, which is kind of crazy. And here's another thing that has popped in my head. Bob Bowlesby and Greg Sankey were working closely together for the last 2 years on a college football playoff expansion. They kept that quiet for 2 years and never leaked out. And they were trying to do what was, quote-unquote, best for college football. And meanwhile, the very guy he was sitting next to developing this 12-team playoff proposal was apparently having, at least through intermediaries, some interest from Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC. Can you imagine how upset and angry Bob Bowlesby must be right now at Greg Sankey? I'd love to put some truth serum in both of them and lock them up in a room and see what happens.
Feels like an episode of The Young and the Restless, happening right there. It's all soap opera. The Big Ten, the Pac-12, what are their next steps in this? Because they can't just sit on the sidelines and wait for the dust to settle.
Yeah, I'm not so sure we see like massive expansion or realignment going on there. I think, we're going to see, of course, some other Big 12 teams probably get picked off. But, as George Kalafkoff, the new Pac-12 commissioner, said, we don't have to go to 16. That's not like the immediate response here, and it's probably not the good response. You keep your eyes open and your ears open, and if someone comes to you and they seem to be a good fit, that's when you start discussing it. These conferences very rarely actively pursue programs that join them. Like the SEC, I truly believe that OU and Texas came to the SEC through intermediaries and said, hey, if we want to leave, would you guys be interested? I don't think that, the Big Ten is going to be sitting there going, okay, who do we need to actively recruit? Long answer short, I'm not so sure we see this super conference idea come to be. And, if there are teams added to the Big Ten and Pac-12, I'm not so sure it's no more than one or two for each, if at all, because you have an opportunity to improve your product, but there's no Texas and OU out there for the getting. You're probably going to water down your product by adding more teams at this point. And not only that, you might actually lessen the share of money among your schools when it comes to revenue. So got to keep that in mind.
When you think about where we've come from in the last 12 months with the pandemic and everything and the changes that have happened in this sport, does all this happen if we don't shut down and have the seasons that we had? I can't help but feel like this is all connected in some way.
Oh, yeah, man, I think so too. We all had time, everybody, to sit back and really reflect and think and try new things because life was kind of taken out of our hands a little bit. We couldn't do certain things. So that allowed us to focus our energies elsewhere and also reevaluate how we were doing things in our own lives. And that was true with business, as we've seen, and with sport and social change and social justice. I mean, so much has been there's been so much change because we've been able to refocus or look at things that maybe we weren't looking at completely. So, yeah, I'm with you, Brian. I don't think that we see this happening, Texas and OU joining the SEC, if there wasn't a pandemic, which is just strange to think. I mean, goodness gracious, can you imagine going back in time a year and a half ago and going, hey, a pandemic's about to hit the country and the entire planet, and this is all going to change in your own life, and also this is what's going to happen with college sports. There was no way to predict any of this, and it really is nuts when you look at it from 30,000 feet instead of just being in the weeds right now, because it's like we almost expect the unexpected at this point because of how crazy the last year and a half's been.
We're going to get an actual football question in here now. I'm going to try to work one in. Can't take Georgia, Alabama, can't take Oklahoma, can't take Ohio State or Clemson. Most likely team to make the playoff outside of those teams.
Ooh, man.
I want to hear if you like mine or not. Go ahead.
I'm just trying to remember what teams you actually just said. I'm not too smart. USC. Do you say USC?
I did not. You think the Pac-12 champion could get in if they'd have to go undefeated, right?
Yeah, they have to go undefeated, I think. I'm not a big believer in Clay Helton, the head coach there, but they've got the talent to do it. Their offensive line is my big question, but they got talent all across the board and depth everywhere else other than that offensive line. And I think their defensive line is going to be one of the best units in the country this year. So I'd say USC if I couldn't pick any of those other teams.
So my team is North Carolina.
Whoa! Wow! Really?
Because the path in the ACC is not that difficult. Just get past Clemson, who this year could take a little step back with no Trevor Lawrence and those guys.
I got
Matt
Arizona
Brown?
State. I got Herm Edwards, baby.
You should always consider Arizona State. I know that's for fact. So. We'll see. Brandon Marcello, 24/7 Sports, really good information.